All right, let's do another drunken rant. It's been quite a while, but a lot of shit's been going on, and uh, unfortunately, not a lot of it good. So we're slumming a little bit here. I think I heard the term Spanish or vanish is for us folks in the Southwest. So I got the Corona. I got the Corona and a little bit of Tullamore Dew whiskey. That's what this drunken Q&A slash rant is starting off with. So yeah, it's been a while, and I know some people have been saying, are you going to keep doing the drunken Q&As and whatnot? And it'll be sporadic. It won't be like it was before, but it'll definitely be sporadic. But let's do one. I mean, there were some good questions, and I thought instead of answering, I'll just wait till the next time I'm in that certain space that we can dive into these questions and speak. So let's get into it. All right. Do you think fascism and constitutionalism can be compatible? No. I think many people leaning right pretty much believe in the tenets of fascism, but justly fear the create. You can't believe in the tenets of it if you're believing in the Constitution. We'll get into that. But justly fear the creation of the genocidal police state as opposed to what, a genocidal, false republic run by merchants, police state, and the loss of individual liberties. Once again, as opposed to what liberties you have today. I always ask the people that are afraid of losing liberties, like, what exactly are you afraid of losing that fascism would take from you? I personally think you would have more liberty in a fascist society. And privacy, which I myself also fear. Well, in this age of, the internet, phones, cameras on every stoplight, I don't know. There's no society where you're going to have full privacy. Fascist, democracy, liberty, whatever you think you can elect, republic, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, you're not going to have the privacy that we had before all this shit existed, all this technology existed. So I don't think, unfortunately, and I agree with you, unfortunately, that's the toothpaste out of the tube. It doesn't matter what system exists. Those cameras, where the fuck's it at? These, little tracking devices we carry on us, they exist. And if you think anyone in power is not going to look into that, especially if they feel certain people or movements are threats, you're fooling yourself. And it doesn't matter what system that is. That's just human nature. We can't bypass that. We can't. No amount of John Locke and Adam Smith can bypass that. Sorry, just can't. So, and that gets into the Constitution, why it doesn't mix. So, the Constitution is based off of the Enlightenment philosophy. Our forefathers, were influenced by that, and this is what they made the Constitution off of. Now, something that doesn't get spoken about a lot, or at least brought up when we talk about the Constitution, literally like 90,000 people approved of it in a country of 3 million. Okay, so first we have to, and there's a farmer revolt right after the Constitution passed too, because of the taxation and everything is doing for the working class. It was written by people who were, and Charles A. Beard has a book on this. I think the Economic Foundation of the Constitution, something like that. Google that, and I'm sure you'll find the book I'm talking about. And he highlights how, like 95% of the founding fathers and people of the Constitution were of the bourgeois merchant class, either lawyers, bankers, land speculators, or merchants. So, yeah. So, I mean, to put it on such a pedestal, like, oh, we can't ever violate the Constitution. You have to think about who created it, how many people actually supported it, and all the turmoil that took place after it. I mean, we kind of dumbed down, and I get it. You need to do that, and especially you got to keep the, best propaganda is simple and repetitive. So I get that, I understand that, but we need our simple, repetitive message over that shit, because that shit is not good. So, yeah, so Enlightenment philosophy, many of the Anglo-Saxon philosophers, myself, and the majority of the third position, not just today, but from the past, were more influenced by Italian philosophers, Germanic philosophers, Asian philosophers, Slavic philosophers. We came from a different school of philosophy, and we were Nietzscheans while these other people were Lockeans. It's a complete separation of how we view the world. We listened Plato, the Greek philosophy is where it originated, or at least where this third position ideology originated with most of the people that are into third position. It's like the Republic lays it down. Systems like this. So it's a contrast of complete views of the world. So when you say, can fascism exist or can third position politics exist in America without changing the Constitution? No, it can't. It can't. Because they view the world completely different. And I think, and I'll end up doing a video on this just to make my case on it or try to highlight some shit, but I think it comes down to that. These completely different world philosophies of life. And so, yeah, no, it can't be. And that's a good thing. And I think you'll have more liberty because what liberties are you really afraid of losing right now? What are your liberties you think a third position would take from you? Why would they take anything, a liberty that enhances yourself? Why would they take that away from you? They want you to be at your best because you contribute at your best when you're at your best, when you're producing your best, when you're at your best. This is how you're growing up. Instead of driving by billboards and seeing titties and ass and Big Macs, you're seeing people healthy and strong and saying, do this for your nation, do this for your nation. And that your environment affects you. I mean, that is just Darwinism, is evolution as simple as it gets. We adapt to our environment. And so when your environment is that, more people, we're not speaking absolutist or utopic, not everyone, but more people would be of that mentality. And when you're at your best, spiritually, physically, mentally, you can achieve much more for yourself. Also contributing to your people, to your country, to your nation. Also. So to me, that's more liberty than you're ever going to get today when you're surrounded, like I said, with porn and gluttony and feeding on your lower vices. There is a biology in man. We can't deny that. People forget this, especially these, the libertarian mindsets and the Lockeans and all this. They forget this. We are hardwired. We are. We can't get past that. And advertisement has figured out how to tap into that and use it for specific things. And that's what they get. And that's why we have the results we're getting now. So yeah, maybe you'll lose a lot of that. Maybe you won't have 50,000 porn channels and fast food restaurants all over the place. And not even liquor stores all over the place. Okay? Maybe. You'll lose that. Those liberties, or at least the abundance and access to them, you will lose for sure. And I say good riddance to that. But I can't think of any valid liberty. Like questioning government, that is welcome. Debate is always welcome. Subversion is not. And there's a fine line between that. So yeah, I don't understand the liberties you're afraid of losing. All right, once again, I'm just repeating myself. I think you have more under third position ideology. This is an ideology really based on unifying us, taking care of all of us as we contribute into it. We give into it, we get out of it. And it's like building it. It's building an extended family amongst the nation. So how are you in the mentality of fuck? Yeah, our enemies, we're going to be extra, ruthless. But the family, there's a lot of love. So yeah, you wouldn't have to worry about being oppressed or anything like that. Also, even though you believe in Americanized fascism with a civic nationalist platform, do you think some states could create a specific ethnic racial groups like Oregon, which was originally intended to be a white ethno state? Yeah, and how did that work out? Have the right of association to live in a mono-racial neighborhoods of their choosing without integration. I believe this could help get white nationalists on board with your civic nationalist fascism, because I think one thing is certain: most whites who aren't assholes, neocon liberals, or SJWs definitely see a targeted extermination and genocide against us. Also, it could help win over black and other ethnic nationalists to this civic nationalist fascism. Very good question. Mm. See, here's the thing. I don't think you can make like I don't think you could get away with get support. And when I say get support, I mean from the majority of white people. Okay, let's exclude everyone else from the rest of this conversation. Anything I refer to here on out, replying to this is the majority of white people. Okay, so I don't think you can say we want to make this state just for whites, this state just for blacks, et cetera, et cetera, and this is going to be law. I think soon as you do that, you create reactionaries. I think soon as you do that, it becomes punk rock to go against that. I think you need to have, I think the only way this is going to work in our country with what we're dealing with is going to be freedom of association. Races largely stick together. And then you're going to have places where races will mingle. They will have that freedom to go there. And when you have neighborhoods, towns, cities, maybe even states that are vastly white, you're not going to have too many non-whites wanting to go there just because of that. It's a natural thing where you'd feel uncomfortable. Would it be, could you completely exclude anyone that tried to? No. No, like I said, you would just create reactionaries and you would have division and it'd be a fucking civil war again. And then once again, you'd have whites 50-50 on the question, where we're at now. Okay? And we die out just like that. Because it's 50-50, then plus the mass of everyone else on that other side. And that's a losing fucking ground for us in America. I think Europe is a completely different story. I think they have a homogeneous ethnic, racial right to their specific sub-races and their lands and their cultures. I think that's a completely different thing. But for us in America, I think it's a different thing. So, yeah, I don't think you could... I don't think you can get away with making that a law. I think that's just going to, create turmoil and fighting. And I don't think you can get off the ground. I don't think any kind of revolutionary politics, populist politics could get off the ground with that message. I mean, it's pretty much, like you said, you brought up, the Northwest Front or not. Was it Northwest Front? I forget, but Harold Covington's thing and other people have done that. Just to bring it back, there was the local unit leader here of the National Vanguard tried to buy a whole bunch of land out in Utah, and he had the idea of creating just a little white neighborhood, and that didn't even come to fruition. Not because he didn't have the money, but because he couldn't find the people to put in and like create this. What would it take to make that? And that's a lot of why I think Covington's whole thing failed. And that's been around for 20 some odd years, right? And it's once again. Why I focus on a lot of history on this channel, especially in these alternative scenes and the third position movements, is so we can, try to. Nietzsche said the historian always looks back or thinks backwards, and that's true in the sense where we look at all the things that's happened before us and we try to learn from that and adapt to that and see what works and what doesn't, and not to all the time repeat the mistakes of running into the fucking wall. And that seems to be the method of everyone. And it's, I don't know, for whatever reason, we just can't get out of that rut, that cycle. And that's what's been going on. So it's, people are more than welcome to promote that ideology, but it's like, see where it gets you. And as opposed to seeing where a populist message would get you. And they probably, both. Who knows? Who knows? The monsters may be too big. Who knows? But these are just the different views of it. And I've just seen so much failure on the one side. And you see why. Just all throughout history. When you make something, when you oppress something within a body, what's oppressed usually overcomes in the end. Usually does. That's what from slavery, from the Greek and Roman times to today. I mean, it's kind of been the same cycle. So it's yeah, I think that's been done. But I do think when it's not like in your face a law, you can't come around here, people naturally segregate. They just do. They just do. That's the reality of it. And then on top of that, if you imagine a media that's not shoving a certain message down your throat and that's, promoting different ideas, getting people in touch with their own roots, I do think you get an Ottoman Empire, Roman Empire, people bring up Singapore, kind of, or even Syria, or of the Middle East. You have these different ethnic groups that were able to come under either Pan-Arabism or these different empires and remain who they were, but serve like the greater ideal of the nation. And I think that's somewhat how we have to look at America. I think that's kind of where we're at in this country, and or our situation at least. And like I said, it's different in other places. I think I can't think of any other place that I would make the same argument for in this world. So I would make the complete opposite argument in every other place in this world outside of America. Maybe Canada. I don't know if Canada is as much as we are. I don't know, but or their history enough to give a I guess an educated opinion on that. But it's as far as we're concerned, I'm very educated on being an American and grown up in America and knowing the history of America and how people perceive the history and reality of America. So it's yeah, I'm confident in saying, if there's any chance of cutting the head off this dragon, it's through a populist movement that gets enough support that they don't give a fuck, that you get the people that are supposed to arrest you and put the guns on you to march with you. And that's typically how it's become successful, typically, right? So am I saying that's the way, that's the only way? No, I'm just saying that's the best way I think we can manifest in our life. So I droned on a little bit, and we're close to 20 minutes, and it's been a while, so I'll just cut this short. But once again, we're on BitChute doing all these videos. All of them are up. We're going to before I go off, just because it's in my head, in the near future, I'll be doing a video on William Dudley Pelley, and he tried to mingle third position ideology with the Constitution. He tried to say, we won't change anything in the Constitution, but come with the third position. And when I lay his life and politics out, then you can see how that would look. To me, it didn't look, because he wanted like the masses to vote on things, and to be more of a pure democracy type of deal on certain laws, not representatives, or no, even on representatives. So he did try to mingle that. So when I if you're not aware of him, or if people aren't aware of him or his beliefs in his life, when I do a video on that, then you could see, you could see for yourself, like, how would this look if we tried to, manifest this third position way with what's the Constitution is framed off of? How can this coincide? And even though he said he didn't violate, I mean, there are certain things that definitely it does. But we'll get into that when we get into that video on him. But yeah, so he is someone that tried that, who tried to keep the Constitution and come with a third position ideology on economics, on nationhood, and everything else. So maybe you'd be interested in that video. But anyways, guys, cheers. Cheers. I know it's been a while. Like I said, it'll be sporadic. And yeah, man, life fucking happens. And it's definitely been happening. And sometimes it's not so good, and sometimes it's good. So, but it's an enjoyable roller coaster, and it all comes to an end sooner or later. So you might as well take the good with the bad, deal with it, and keep climbing. All right. Good night.